Good day, traders. This is a Tradesight trade recap. I want to talk today a little bit about a trade we had on SINA, S-I-N-A. It was on the short side of the market. And I want to show you, first of all, where the call came from and then how the market behaved that day and how the trade played out for us and how our Comer tool could really help keep you in the trade to the ultimate exit if you wanted to. So here's a look at the daily chart of SINA, S-I-N-A. This is for December 4th, 2012, going into December 4th, and we're looking to go short under this level right here. This is $44.66. Let me draw you a quick line. We're just looking at a breakdown point. Now, what do we like about this? Well, this was our top short idea for the day off of our picks. What do we like about this trade in general? First of all, it's a short-term breakdown point. Secondly, the stock's been weak over the last year. You got an inverted cup here. It doesn't line up perfectly yet with the very lows that you've seen, but it lines up with a lot of the support points back over here, as you can see. For example, on this day, it was basically the close. We found support the next day, even though we had dipped lower sooner. Made another dip and came back to close right at this level. It's the low of this day. It's the low, basically, of these 3 days, or very close to it. And then it's the low back over here just a couple of weeks ago. So that's a nice setup for us. Be even better breaking the new lows, but I'd like to get that early entry just right here under this level that we see at 44.66. So let's take a look and now convert to the intraday action, and let's take a look at what happened. So here's the chart on the first opening 5-minute bar of the day. We got a little gap down in the market, but remember it's the 44.66 level that we want to short under, and this is still just right above 45 here. So the first bar of the day is a gap down, but we're still above our short trigger. And then let's see what happens as the day moves forward. You can see right here in the very second bar we get a big bar down, and that actually triggers our short trade. So 44.66, basically right here, the blue line I've just drawn, that's us going short under that level. On the big bar down, you can see great volume, as you would expect on such a major breakdown point in the market right here. So we've got our short in place at this point in time. The way we like to trade is we like to get a partial off the table, looking for anything from 20, 25, maybe 30 cents if you've got some good momentum on a $45 stock. Lets us build sort of a cushion, and then we can manage the trade from there. So let's watch how it plays out going forward. Get another big bar down, bigger bar even. Look at that, we're already down a point. So this was real easy for us to almost immediately grab a partial. When it happens this quick, this is why we don't use limit orders to get out of a trade. I like to do it manually because you've got so much momentum here. Instead of just taking 20 or 25 cents, you've got that immediately, and it keeps going. And you just want to make sure that as soon as you see some sort of a slowdown or pause, that's where you're getting your partial profit. In this case, you could have had a real nice cushion just letting this momentum play out here for the first few minutes of the trade, because after that, you can let this trade come all the way back up to the entry and play with that level if it wants to, and you're not at any risk at all. So here's the next bar, as you can see, and then we'll go one more. And now we're basically slowing down a bit. So we got over a point and a half out of this trade right out of the gate, and you should have had a decent partial somewhere along the way. You also notice that we're now from what we call our Comer tool. The green numbers that you see here, we're now 9 bars down. That creates what we call a setup phase for the Comer tool. And what that does is means that we can now use the pink numbers, or the magenta numbers as Rich likes to call them, for the Comer countdown itself. We're looking for a 13 countdown using our Comer look-back methodology. And if we get to a 13, that would indicate a potential reversal point, certainly a low in the short term. So let's watch how this plays out. Now, this is real interesting. Okay, we slow down here, which is fine. You've got obviously a big momentum move, but we've got a lot of room to work. What we really want to do is try and maximize the trade from here. And the way the Comer tool works, part of the criteria for the count is that we have to make a new low with each bar in order to get the next numeric part of that count. So as you can see here, this is going to be bar 8 right there, another new low and meets all the other criteria, and this will be 9. Okay. And again, I'm not saying you can't take a part of your trade off somewhere along the way, but we like to be stopped out of the last piece of our trade. We also like to use these types of tools to really help us get that sort of ultimate exit, if you will. So there's 10. This is going to be 11. And by the way, now we're almost $3 in the money on this trade. And again, it all comes from the fact that it was such a nice daily chart setup to begin with. So there's your 11th bar. So even if, at this point in time you've taken off another piece of the trade, boy, you've got a huge cushion to work with. Are you really needing to close out that last piece? And a lot of people will tighten their stop up, and that's fine. They'll use a 10 EMA at this point, or they'll use the high of the prior 5-minute bar. You'll notice that in this entire move down, we have not traded above the high of a prior 5-minute bar. That's pretty amazing. So here we get a little retracement back up. So this, some people might just take the trade off right here, and other people might be looking for a, the moving average. But here we're getting a little bounce. We trade around, and now we're entering the lunchtime period, and that's not a bad thing if you're out of the trade at this point in time. But the question is, does the Comer tool give us any extra information as to where we should get out of this trade? And if you just keep sticking with it, you'll notice that in order to get a 12 and a 13 bar on this count, we need to make new lows again. So that suggests that there's still potentially some energy left for this trade. So let's watch as it plays out. Now as they come back from lunch, this is basically right about here is where the lunchtime ends, and then I'm on mountain time for this trade. So as lunchtime ends here at noon, which is about 2 p.m. Eastern time, okay, there's your 12, all right, and guess what the next bar does? There's your 13. Now, is this meaningful at all? Does this mean anything to us? Well, now we've got a 13 in place, a couple of things happen. First of all, you've got technically a buy signal, and this pink line that you're going to see form out here, that's your risk line. So some people would actually buy off this level with a stop under here. We've been short the trade. Maybe it's telling us, hey, this might be about it. We really tighten our stop up. What really matters is how accurate is the tool. And as we let this play out over the rest of the session, what you're going to find is that that was the low. Pretty amazing, isn't it? And the next day you pop back up on the open, and look how the volume picks up late in the day. People covering out their shorts, volume pops back, or the stock pops back up. So the Comer tool, we start with a chart pattern, a really nice chart pattern on the daily. We get a really clean trigger with good heavy volume, and then the Comer tool, if you really wanted to apply yourself all the way to the end, showed you where the last exit point would be. I think that's a great set of tools.